and Sean. Glad you're
Hi,
here
Sean.
to join us. I used to work with Sean at International Training, which is a scuba diving agency. He is the senior VP there, I believe. Really cool guy.
Cool.
Anywho, let's see, we have someone else.
Hi, Serafina. So happy to see you. Serafina is one of my friends from the Cape, an
Nice.
awesome graphic designer and photographer. So
Sean
welcome.
says, hey, hey. I've got my green juice here, so if you see me drinking this, don't think it's like anything crazy. It's just like celery and pineapple and stuff.
You might have to share that recipe.
I will. I would love to. I honestly don't follow a recipe when I'm juicing. I'm just like, oh, I have this fruit and vegetable. Like, let me just throw it all in and like, whatever. If it tastes good, great. If not, we're still gonna drink it because can't waste, right?
Do you also put any kind of like protein powder or collagen? I've been
No,
into collagen lately.
no, this is like goes through like a juicer, so it's like cold pressed juice.
Oh, nice.
So no, I just do like the fruits and vegetables, and that it's just a good way for me and my kids to like sneak in a little extra vitamins and minerals and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
And your kids are very active, so
yeah,
we want to keep them
yes, they are.
want to keep them
Yes,
healthy.
I just got back from the park with my daughter. All right, so let's not keep people waiting. Let's go ahead and jump in as people start
Hi,
joining.
Leanne.
Hello. Say who you are in the comments, and if you have any questions ahead of time about brand strategy and content marketing and all those kinds of good things, please drop them in the comments so that we can answer your questions. We're some experts here, and we would love to share some knowledge with you. So yeah, today we are here to talk about messaging and brand strategy. I am a content marketing expert. I specifically focus on content repurposing so that you can work smarter and not harder within your content. And I am joined today by Kris, who I met here on Instagram through, was it just a coach of yours too? I can't remember.
I had been to several of her coaching sessions, but not an official coach.
Yeah.
So she's amazing.
Yes, she is amazing. We met through the wonderful and fabulous Jess Miller. She is a money mindset coach and just incredible at what she does. And Kris and I have just been connecting in the DMs for, I don't know, it's probably been like a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to get this live together since December. But, you know, Kris was sick, life is busy, you know, so here we are. It's the end of February, we made it, and I'm just glad to be here. So Kris, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Sure, and I just want to comment that it's never too late to start talking about content and branding strategies.
Yes.
My name is Kris Kiehn. I am a brand and marketing consultant for small businesses and startups in the consumer-facing CPG and retail space, and I really try to help create those messagings and a brand identity for clients to really engage with their customers, not just throw things up on the wall, see if it sticks, or just throw messaging out there and doesn't matter if it engages. You really want that conversation started.
Yes. And what Kris and I do is so parallel and really works together. And when we were talking earlier this week, preparing for this live, we were talking like, you know, Kris, her business is really like the step before people come work with me. You got to get your brand identity like really down pat and like good and clear before you can start jumping into like figuring out your content pillars and content repurposing and your content strategy in general, right?
Exactly.
So you want to just jump in? Do you want to start talking about brand identity?
Sure. So really, when it comes down to brand identity, you know, at the core, we're talking about what is your tagline and your mission and all of those things, but then also what are the colors that you're using, and it's ideal to use between 1 and 3. I know Serafina will call me on this if I mess this one up, but 1 to 3. And then also a logo. And again, when you're starting out, sometimes people don't have that logo, but an image that identifies you as your brand or company. So when we're talking about creating content for your social media feed, I create templates, and I'm a huge fan of Canva. I was a little bit of a late converter, but now I have seen the way and I have not strayed.
I'm glad. It really is better.
It is really better. And they can even do reels for you too. Just a little
Yes.
pro
Yes.
tip.
Pro tip. You can do reels in Canva.
Exactly. So you want to create templates that use those brand colors between 1 and 3. Now this can be a flood of color, or this can be little accents of color. The other thing that you want to do is curate photos that also resonate with your brand. An example is that my tagline is navigating the sea of marketing. So a lot of my photos tend to be of the ocean, or maybe a pool or pool tiles, but that those greens and aquas that resonate also back to my brand colors. But the use of images when we're talking about repurposing also keeps the content fresh. So let's say someone had something in a graphic and that didn't really resonate with them, maybe the photo will draw them in, and then they'll read the caption and the content.
Yes.
It also allows your feed to not just be all graphics. And I know that that's a style for some. It's not particularly my strategy that I would use, but to each his own. And then I think this is most importantly, and Brit does this so well, is be out there with your face. Now, if you cannot be live like Brit is quite often, get some still professional photos taken of you, or have someone really take the time to take them, so that at least your face is out there. Because at the end of the day, people are resonating and connecting with the brand, and that brand is really you. It is not the product, it's not the service, there's the person behind that. I think you'd agree, Brit, that's why sometimes those behind the scenes work really well, because they're resonating with you, watching you do the thing. And
I don't know if Sean is still here, but when I used to work at International Training, the president of International Training, Brian Carney, would always say, people do business with people. So showing your face on social media and putting yourself out there can only help you relate to your ideal clients more, and make them feel comfortable doing business with you and buying things and giving you their money realistically.
Exactly, and that's also you're communicating and sharing that voice of who you are. And that's sort of my other tip, is that keep that same, maybe it's a trusted friend or it's the professional expert, but also have fun with it. I think sometimes the accounts that I really like also sometimes make me think. It might not be a topic that's always addressed on social. I mean, you obviously don't want to touch some of the hot spots, but don't be afraid to say, here's my opinion, and here's why I think this really works. And have that unique perspective, because people they work with people. They don't work with just, the product or the pretty pictures or whatnot.
Yes.
And one last pro tip before we move over to your repurposing is, don't forget to add your logo to your posts.
Yes.
Here's why. Today, I feel like so many people share images, or they share posts and they put them on their stories, and so many times they're not tagged. And if you have that in that image, especially the graphic images that you use, then your brand is getting shared. And so it always tends to tie back, because I always will go to that story and click on that post just to go back to give some love to the original creator.
That's why personally with my logo, I did a whole branding thing last year, just to boost my presence and all that stuff, and I'm obsessed with how it came out. I love it. I hired someone, and they did so much better than I could have ever done. I went to school for graphic design, but that's so far away, and it's just not my thing anymore, and that's okay. But I love that the designer that I used, she gave me a full logo where it says in 3 colors, that creative girl. And then she gave me this awesome kind of stamped circular logo that I just throw on everything. You'll often see it in my reels, kind of cut out. So again, just like you're saying, when someone shares my content to their story, they're still seeing my logo, and it's oh, that's Brit stuff, obviously. And which kind of segues really nicely into content repurposing, and how brand identity and having a brand voice and messaging and tone really ties into that because like Kris was just saying, if you have a post that's like a graphic or something like that, and maybe it doesn't perform so well, if you have those templates ready to go and set up, you can just switch the content type of that post and like maybe you turn it into a reel. Maybe you turn it into like some type of carousel type thing. Maybe it's just a photo. Whatever it is, when you have those templates and the brand identity to lean back on, it's easier to create content in the first place. So like that is my like overall number one thing about content repurposing is it makes it easier to create. Like that's just it. Like you're gonna enjoy content marketing more if it's easy. If it's easy for you to do, you will enjoy it more. I can almost promise you that.
Well, and the
yeah,
one thing, Brit, you know, people, if you need to remember too, that only 1% of your followers are really seeing your feed.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's another reason why you want to repurpose. And then the other is, you know, it takes sometimes 8 to 12 times to really resonate and connect with someone. So again, this just really hits home why this is so critical and why we're so passionate about it.
Yes. Exactly. Nobody is going to remember who you are the first time that they see your post. I tell my clients all the time, like, let's look at the analytics. Like, let's see how the things did. Like, if something performed well, like, why can't we repost it exactly as is? Like, no one is going to remember what you posted 3 months ago or scroll back on your feed and be like, oh, that's the same post as today. They did it 3 months ago. Like it's not a thing. People do not care that much. You care much more about your content than anyone else out there does. And that's not like so to be mean or rude or anything about that. It's just, we all have busy lives, right? We all have our own stuff going on. So yeah, that is my little spiel on content repurposing. To get started with content repurposing, my biggest thing is create that content bank. I have a really awesome template for that. If you would like to grab it, click the link in my bio. You just have to scroll down to the bottom and subscribe to my newsletter, and then it will give you instant access to my subscriber library. And I believe the content bank is the first little thing in there. And it's an Excel sheet. It has a bunch of tabs at the bottom, and you can just dump all of your content in there to get a real high level view of like, okay, this is what I have. So now how can I make this all work for me? And my favorite part of my personal content bank is actually my, what do I call it? My story bank. And it's just one of the tabs in my content bank where I just dump ideas, good, bad, ugly, whatever they are. I literally just dump them in there. And like, if I go back later and sort through them, great. If not, like, they're just there for time and all eternity. And like, I get great ideas from them. So yeah, I would really, really encourage you to like write every single idea that you have down, because you never know when it could come in handy someday. I like to set aside like 30 minutes a week where I'm just like going through the saves on my phone from Instagram, TikTok, like wherever, Pinterest, whatever. And I like to just like go back through them, because when you're saving things to come back to later, you're usually not like planning for a time when you're going to come back to them. And I know this is kind of like off to the side of like content and stuff like that, but it's really helpful to look at what you're consuming on a weekly basis and think about how you can incorporate that into your content or your business or whatever it is. Somebody did a comment. Brian Hurst said, that's so true. I did see a content creator get called out, but that's maybe once in 3 years. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Somebody got called out, right? Whoever called whomever out has too much time on their hands.
Exactly. And, you know, maybe they are just like really sort of into that account. And if you're really into that account, then you might scroll through and be like, oh, they've shared this before. But again, that's sort of why we talk about serving it up in different ways. But I really love your tip about, you know, that 30 minutes a week. I have something for my own business because I manage other accounts, but I have CEO Fridays. And on Fridays, I'm actually going through and I'm jotting down ideas, because if you step away, sometimes it comes back, and then that sparks a nugget of, oh, you know what? Or, hey, I saw this and I keep seeing this, so this is a trend and I want to jump on that. Exactly. You know, and again, keeping it in your brand and in your messaging And I think, Brit, you also wanted to talk about the pillars that
Yes,
you
content
also
pillars.
recommend.
I have a great blog post on this on my blog. It's pretty new, just explaining like what content pillars are and so on and so forth. But the general gist of it is content pillars are the 3 to 5 topics that you're going to talk about within your content marketing strategy that are going to help you move toward your marketing goals, whatever those are. So for me, my content pillars as a content strategist extraordinaire person, I never know what to call myself. I'm like always calling myself something different. Anyways, my content pillars are content repurposing, content marketing, social media, and email marketing. Those are like the 4 things that I really, really hit hard and try to focus on because those are the 4 ways that I help my clients. So yeah, Kris, what are your content pillars? Do you have them like laid out? Not to put you on the spot.
I do. I have sort of, well, everyone I feel like has that testimonial Tuesday. So that
Yeah.
to me is a really low hanging fruit.
Yes.
I also try to provide marketings are for Monday, excuse me, Mondays are for marketing.
Love
And I try to put
that.
out some little longer posts on Mondays. And
Yeah.
I try not to do it every Monday, but maybe every other, and sort of kind of makes people get excited about
Okay.
it. Then there are also the tips. And then I also, because I was getting feedback that people wanted a little bit more of me. So then I'm starting to been sharing some almost like the personal Kris. So I just put some flowers out from, Valentine's Day, or, I might take a picture of the beach here, which for me, it still ties in.
Yeah.
But it also gets people to know who I am beyond just my marketing expertise. So I think that there needs to be a little bit of personal, even like once every 3 weeks or 2 weeks, that shows who you are.
Totally. I completely agree. I do this a little bit differently as far as like showing my personal stuff. I keep 2 accounts. Some people say this is a great strategy. There's feelings on either side about having more than one account, one for business and one for personal. I like to keep them separate. I'm not very good at like keeping both of them consistent at the same time. But things happen. And when you're managing like 10 accounts, you just gotta let some things fall. Anyways, so what I do to share my personal life on my business page is I just share things from my personal page and like let it go that way. So like mostly people would only see like my personal life via the stories, but I think that's totally okay because stories tend to be a place where you're going to want to go more deep anyways. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on like sharing your personal stuff. I think it's really great. It helps you be more relatable. Yeah.
Well, I have another account. I'll be upfront that I got a lot of flack for sharing initially like some personal stuff when I was really taking a more assertive step with my business. But I just started then to feel that I was being inauthentic on my business account. And so that's why I almost, it resides out there. And maybe it's, myself at the beach with a bunch of friends that is more, almost that really personal side. And I know that you share your kids on yours.
Yes.
But I needed to sort of have that balance because that's actually how I want to do business, that I create that relationship. And so for me, that really echoes who I am and how I am when you work with me.
Yes, I love that.
Everyone has their own approach, and there's really no approach. It has to be right for you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You do what works for you. There is no magic combination of you post X amount of times a week and you gain Z, or Y, whatever. So I feel like that's a really common question that I get. Like, how many times a week do I need to post to go viral or gain 1,000 followers or like whatever it is? There's nothing like that. If someone is giving you some type of advice that you need to post X amount of times to get Y, run for the hills. It's a red flag. No one can guarantee anything like that unless you're buying followers and likes and stuff like that. But we all know that's a bad thing, so don't do it.
But although, Britt, would you agree? Would you agree? I think you need to post at least like 1 to 2 times minimally, just so that you do stay active.
Yes. I always say when you're building your social media or even your marketing strategy, start small. Kris and I were just talking about this with email the other week. I don't remember what you were saying about my newsletter, but that you subscribed and that I was doing it weekly. I don't remember the whole conversation, but you were saying how like
with your weekly sends. I'm not quite there yet.
Yes. I have been working really hard over the last like 9-ish months to be very consistent with my newsletter. And Kris was like, I'm just so like, how do you do that? And I was like, you know what? I started really small. I used to not be very consistent. And now here I am, like more consistent because I started small and built up over time. So Kris's goal with her email marketing is to put out a newsletter once a quarter. And that's okay. Yep. And you can honestly work that into your strategy as well, because you can hype up that newsletter on your feed and say like, join my list, newsletter sending like on this date of the quarter, like maybe put some like exclusive things in there that you're not promoting anywhere else but in your newsletter. There's all kinds of ways to do it. Don't let someone being how am I going to say this? Don't let someone's higher cadence of posting or marketing or whatever it is like pull you down or get you discouraged, because we all have different bandwidths and capacities.
I think that's true. I think I even had times where I would be looking and following someone and I just thinking, wow, they're doing it so much better than I. But we all do and bring our expertise to the business in our own unique way. And again, it really comes down to people are working with you as a person and your expertise, but it's the person first. They want to feel comfortable. They want to, if they don't feel comfortable with you and they can't find a way to believe in you, then it's not going to be a good relationship either. I mean, does everyone agree that's watching? Is that sort of what you're experiencing too?
Also, the one point we both wanted to make was like, make it fun. Make social media and marketing fun for yourself. I'm not saying that like you have to get up and do like a dancing reel or something like that. If that's not fun for you, don't do it. But social media is truly what you make it. So if you want it to be fun, it can be fun. You can like create your own little community on there, be DMing with all kinds of people, relationships. I mean, it is such a beautiful thing that we live in a time where like we can have these digital relationships that really like connect us in a way that wasn't possible however long ago, like in the olden days, as my kids would say.
So scary what their olden days
I know.
But
right. My son the other day was like, Mom, what year were you born? And I was like, oh, 1991. He was like, in the 1900s? And I was like, oh, son, please. Kids, right? They say the darndest things. All right. Well, I feel like we covered it all. I guess our call to action here at the end is, if you're looking for branding and messaging help, hit up Kris. And I hope that it's below me on everyone's.
Yes.
Right? And if you're more established and you need to get organized with your content marketing and figure out how to repurpose and like set up a framework of all that kind of good stuff, hit me up. And or follow us and consume our free social and newsletter content. And
just want to ask if anyone has questions. I want to see, make sure that we answer a couple just in case.
Yes, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments.
I'm seeing some love floating.
People are giving us some love. I love that. And we have a pretty good turnout.
Bob Cargill, who's on here, he loved your comment about the being personal and being fun and being social on social media, because that's really, don't be so serious. There has to be a little bit of light to this. And be kind. That's the other thing. I mean, just be kind. It's really not.
Yes. Don't be a troll. Hard. Be kind.
No.
Yes. I'm just waving at some people because it's fun. My friend from college. My friend from college was here, so I gave him a quick wave. Dave Katz, if you're still here, hi, love you, buddy. Just joined by accident. I'm so glad I did. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Anybody? Thank you. Great information. So glad to hear it. Yay. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I am going to have this replay on my account, and I will send it over to Kris as well, and she'll post it on hers, I'm sure. And then, I'll probably send this replay out in my newsletter next week. So stay tuned for that. And if you need a content bank.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Yes.
And thanks, Brit.
Of course. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.